That's how the video's gonna start. Welcome, guys. Welcome back for another episode. We are still here at the Pomona Fairgrounds, and you guys might see this video about a few weeks after the fact. But I think a lot of people have been asking for, right? G87 M2 content, M2 content, and we're about to hit you guys with that right now. I'm here with a certified BMW tech, right? Ben. Ben, how long have you been a certified BMW tech?
For the people who don't know, right around 4.5 years now. So, yeah, four and a half years, yeah.
And you work in Orlando, Fields BMW.
Yep.
Right? And you guys see a lot of M car coming in, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
With a new platform, and for the longest time, the G87 was the newest punching bag, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
When it first came out, tell me not, sir, when the G87 came out, it was like, oh my God, what is that?
It was ugly.
Right? It was ugly in the beginning.
I think that it was ugly at the beginning, but when you do like a front lip, you drop
Lower
it a
it, yeah,
little
right.
bit, you put some nice wheels, it came over.
Yeah.
That's all you need. You don't have to complicate things with these cars because they're already like off factory. I mean, they're ugly, their height's disgusting. Sorry, BMW, but it is what it is. But once you do those little mods, it's game over, dude. Like,
But I think everybody says too, like, oh, you shouldn't have to modify a car to make it look good. And nowadays, you have to with a lot of the new generation.
I mean, if you're loaded, then go buy a car that you don't have to modify.
Yeah, like a McLaren or a Ferrari.
You know, Lambos. But sadly, we're poor.
Yeah, we're poor, yeah.
No, we gotta do what we gotta do. So we get cars like this, we modify them, and then, you know, if it's tastefully done, people are just gonna love it, you know, and they're gonna enjoy the build, they're gonna enjoy the process, and that's what a car is. A car enthusiast, that's what you want. You want to enjoy the process. You want to enjoy the reactions you get from people because you're like, man, like I killed it with this, you know, and that's the best reward you can get out of it.
Yeah, and it's always good to speak to a G87 owner. This is your second one.
Yeah.
And this video is all dedicated about G87 M2. So we're getting a little perspective from an owner right now. And we also get a perspective from a certified BMW tech, right? Maybe not master's technician yet because you just suck.
Not yet. Cold-blooded, man.
Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker.
The duo is back, baby.
The duo is back. All right, so let's go into it, right?
Yeah.
You guys get these cars all the time in for service. Is there any major issues with these cars?
No, I mean, this is still the same drivetrain that you would get, obviously, in your M3 and your M4, just in a smaller body. The cars are phenomenal. They're fantastic. People love them. And, you know, it's like he said, you know, when these cars come in, you know, fresh off the boat into the dealerships, right, they're ugly. Nobody liked the way they looked. They didn't like the front end. They didn't like how boxy it was. You know, they just didn't like pretty much the entire car. But just like anything else, right, when the M3 came out, when the M4 came out, nobody liked the front end. Nobody liked how the car looked, how it sat, the wheels that came on it, so on and so forth. But you give it a little time and you let the aftermarket companies do their thing, and then all of a sudden now we get different grills. Now we get ways to be able to lower it, right? Side skirt extensions, wings, you know, rear bumper diffusers, so on and so forth. And that really gives it that pizzazz that the car needed from factory. But again, you know, obviously we're not the engineers, right? They design it for the purpose that it's meant for. So how it comes from the factory is essentially how they wanted it to be, for it to be used the way that they wanted it to be used.
And I think too, like the spy shots that we first saw when the G87 first came out, they did it on purpose, I think. I think it was methodically released to get that controversy because, again, this was the newest punching bag. The front end was horrendous when it first came out.
Definitely.
But when you drop it, add some carbon to it.
Add a lip.
You know, I think the biggest issue for me is the height, the ride height. And then adding the carbon adds to the look. It adds aggressiveness to the look.
Correct, yeah. Anything you do to these cars, even when it comes to the kidney grills, right? He still has these are still the OEM ones, right? There's so many grills now, I can't even keep track. But these are still the OEM kidney grills, but I think Adro came out with a pair and a couple other companies where they have like one line going through here.
Speaking of that, let's walk over to the Adro one.
Literally, yeah. Well, the Adro one's got a whole new different front bumper.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's their design.
A whole different type of front bumper, right? And we're checking it now, right? We saw this first release about a few months ago, and we definitely saw it at the invasion of West Palm Beach, right?
Yeah.
So this car came out, and, you know, I think it's grown on people, especially with the new front bumper, with the vertical slotted grills. But going back into my original question, right? You guys get this in a lot. How reliable has these cars been? You said it's the same chassis, same drivetrain, right? It has the S58, but detuned a little bit.
Correct, yeah. I mean, to answer your first question, again, the cars are super reliable. We have no issues with them. The reason why it is detuned is because, and everybody watching this, you might not like what I have to say, but the M2 is your entry level M, right? It is the lowest on the number pool for BMW that you can get your hands on when it comes to M. So obviously, it is going to have the least amount of horsepower. It is going to have.
But don't sleep on it though.
No, absolutely not, right?
Yeah.
I mean, nobody cares about that because if you put a downpipe and a tune on it, you're right back up there with
basically
the M3s and
email and a
M4s.
tune or send your DME out and get an email.
Yeah,
you're
it's all
pushing
over.
some power.
But you also do get less features, right? Recently I was at work and I took a video of a customer's car that I was working on, and his ambient lighting in the interior was purple. And I had a friend of mine message me because he saw that video and he was like, "Oh, well, how do I get my ambient lighting to be purple?" And he has a M2, and I told him, well, unfortunately, because you have an M2, you don't get the color option of purple. Because
are you saying that they're like the poverty spec?
Not that it's poverty spec, but it's just because it's still considered a 2 Series, right? At the end of the day, it's a 2 Series. Even though it's an M2, it's still a 2 Series. And because it's a 2 Series, you are going to get less features than what you would on the M3, M4, M5, so on and so forth, right? Because again, this is your entry level M car for BMW. That's why it's priced at where it's priced at. That's why the power is where it comes at from factory. And obviously the list goes down. But they have given us more now on this generation of M2 than they ever did before. Because before you got horrible seats, the same seats that were in a 2 Series. You got none of the features,
comforts, right?
Creature comforts. You didn't have EDC. You didn't have anything like that. But with this one, they really gave us, in hindsight, the best bang for your buck when it comes to an M.
And even though this doesn't have the carbon buckets, the non-carbon buckets still look so much better than the previous generations.
Correct,
right?
yeah.
I'm talking about the first one, the one with the N55 in it,
Correct,
right?
yeah.
The one that was
even
reliable.
Even with the one with the S55, the seats weren't they weren't the best.
Yeah, they weren't. Same ones in the M4 and M3s.
Correct.
But can you explain, so somebody that always says, oh, these cars just came out, how can you say they're reliable? Because we all know the X3M is the same, chassis, same drivetrain, right? So that car was pretty reliable. So people that are saying that the M2s are so new, you can't tell if they're reliable or not. How can you debunk that, right? Because we're talking about the X3M now, right? Because that's been out since what, 2019?
Well, of course, yeah. I mean, you have to go back, right? What came out first? Obviously the X3 and the X4M, right? That was our first iteration of the S58. And those cars have been out since, like Ken said, since 2019. So we've had from 2019 to 2025 to understand this drivetrain, understand how the car works, how it functions, and all BMW did was just take that same drivetrain and put it in an M2. They put it in an M3. They put it in an M4. So the reliability doesn't start with the new car that BMW comes out with. It starts with the car that they came out with first, which was obviously the X3 and the X4M. So we at BMW know that these cars are very reliable. The drivetrain on them is very reliable in that aspect because of how long they've been out, the amount of miles that we've seen people put on these cars.
The amount of power too they push.
The amount of power that they push reliably, with very little modifications. So the M2 is, again, it's right up there when it comes to reliability.
But also too, like, this is like the entry level M, right? Like you said, but you can go crazy into modifications just like this, right? With a whole full body kit, changing the whole look of the car, to a kind of modified, right? The car, the gentleman over there with the lowered car on E88s.
Correct.
Then you have OEM Plus look, right?
Right.
And the OEM Plus look was actually the Alpine White G87 that's going to be hopefully around the corner, unless it's going to be
He's somewhere over there, and I think they moved him. There he is.
Yeah, so we'll walk over there, check it out. But yeah, you can go to the extreme to the semi-modified to an OEM Plus look.
Right.
And I actually like this, right? This is a OEM Plus Alpine White G87 M2 with new Apex wheels. These are the newest Apex wheels that everybody was thriving on when it first came out. And I think it's been pretty popular now. I definitely love the way it looks. And he's done a lot. I know the last time we saw him was actually last year before our scorching event. And he was able to get this thing modified, and it looks so good right now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I like the wheels, the Apex wheels. They're new ones that they just came out with. They look really good. The tire size that he has on there matches up really good as well when it comes to fitment. This one does have the carbon buckets. It is a manual, which is very nice as well. For all of us driver enthusiasts out there. And like I was highlighting, before, this is again this is a different grille style than what we saw on the purple one, right?
Correct.
So it's not the one that I had mentioned where you have the one little slit here, but again, it is a different style. So it all just depends on what you like, what you're looking for, how you're wanting to modify your car. There's definitely, obviously, a lot of variety. Even when it comes to the air ducts down here at the bottom, these aren't the same ones as OEM. This is an aftermarket set, but it looks really good with this one little slit going through it right there, and it being in carbon fiber. So I like those small little details about it. But I mean,
but it just shows you, like, look side by side. You got the G87 and you have the F87. You can see where the generation has come to where it's at now. This is a highly modified G87. I'm sorry, F87, and you could definitely tell the age on it, right? You could definitely tell how that car on the far end here has made this car look a little older now.
Yeah,
Just
no,
with the
definitely.
headlights and stuff, but this is still relevant.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, side by side, obviously, you can tell that this is the predecessor, right? And obviously, the Alpine White one is the successor. But if these cars weren't side by side and you told me that this was the brand new M2 that BMW came out with, I would believe you. Because BMW, when they design cars, they try to make them as timeless as possible. Like, even though this is the first generation M2 here, I feel like 10 years from now, this car will still be relevant, and people won't believe you if you tell them that this is a 2018, a 2015, a 2016
Correct.
M2. You know what I mean? They're like, wow, this car was made in 2016. We're in the year 2030. They'd be like, wow, this looks like it just came out the other day. You know what I mean? So, I mean, this very tastefully modified. It looks really good.
So what I do like about it is seeing these things side by side, is seeing the big difference, right? And some of the biggest difference that you don't see on the exterior or interior is actually the inners, right? This had a crank hub issue. S58 has no issues right now, as we know, right? It pushes power, holds power within reason, right? You can't be pushing 1,000 horsepower and not expect any problems.
Correct.
But you can expect 700 horsepower and be somewhat reliable.
Correct, right? Yes, somewhat reliable. I mean, anytime you push more power than what came from the factory, obviously you can expect to have a couple of issues here and there. Obviously you can get away with some extra, right? You can get away with 700, 750 wheel horsepower. You may not run into issues as far as it comes with the actual motor itself. Maybe you run into issues with the drive shaft or the axles or the differential, right? Some things like that. But even now, right, there's S58s out there that are pushing 1,000 plus, and they still have the stock axles. They still have the stock, drive shaft, stock differential, and all that's holding up just fine. So I think that, as time has gone on, BMW has realized that people, when they're buying these cars, they're not necessarily not doing what they were designed for, right? Because all of these here, all these M's here, they're track cars, right? That's what BMW makes them for. They make them for the track. But I think they've realized that people like to go and straight line speed, right? Yeah. They like to go with that straight line speed more than anything. So I think BMW really took that into consideration when it came with the new drivetrain with the S58. And they were like, all right, well, if you guys really want to play around with it, we'll give you enough room to play around with it and still be reliable at the same time.
Totally agree. But if I had to choose between the G82 M4 and the G87 M2, me personally, best bang for your buck. I honestly think, because he has M4 CS. Our M4 CS compared to the M2 CS, the newest hottest thing right now. It's probably a little bit harder to get to. I think it's one of the best bang for your bucks. Your price point is lower than the M4. Same chassis, right? I'm sorry, same drivetrain, yeah. Right? Engine and also transmission. Very capable.
Very capable.
I think the most important thing too for me is the modifications. The modifications out there are plentiful between both platforms.
Yeah. So
for me personally, if I had to choose between either one, I'm going with the G87, man.
Yeah, no, I mean, like you said, there's no denying it, right? The G87 is a beautiful car, especially the CS that's now to come. I knew about it a long time ago.
Yeah, the people that say, "Oh, this guy doesn't know anything; he's just a BMW tech," but you guys get training, right?
Oh yeah, we do definitely get training. I mean,
you see things that we don't get to see until leaked pictures.
Yeah, of course. I mean, for people to say that we don't know or technicians don't know anything, it's kind of crazy because who do you think is going to work on your car? So obviously, we have to know about the car before it comes out. They're not just going to come up with a car and then come into the dealership and say, "Oh yeah, figure it out." Obviously, we have to know about it, the ins and outs of it, and what they've changed in order to service your vehicles, right? So I knew about the M2 CS. I knew how it was going to look. I personally think
out on a few things on that. I'm not gonna say.
I think BMW could have done a little bit better. I was really wishing they would do something with the hood to really set it apart a little bit more, just from a regular G87.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. They did change some things on the front end, right? They did change a lot of things on the rear end, obviously with the ducktail spoiler, and obviously with the rear bumper and the new spoiler on the rear bumper. Obviously, giving it 1,000 M wheels. And with the interior, they changed a couple things as well, but I just really would have wished they would have did something as unique as what they did with the predecessor M2 CS with that hood, because that was probably the best looking hood that BMW's made in a long time, like a long, long time. Like the M2 CS before this one that just came out, that hood was beautiful. And if they would have did something like that with this, you know, instead of having the power dome here, maybe just recessing it and having a vent, I may have traded in the M4 CS for the M2 CS.
Or the Forerunner hood looks pretty good on the M2s, but I have to say definitely with the G87, I would have to go with the G87 compared to the G82. Sorry, Ben.
No, it's okay. I mean, at the end of the day, the cars are the same, right? One's just a little smaller than the other, and it.
Corey's fucking up our video. So other than that, these are our general opinions about the platform and also some insight from a certified BMW tech, right? If you guys want to see more videos like this, let us know down in the comments, and hopefully by this video coming out, Ben will have his channel, and you know, I'll list it maybe in the description if you're lucky enough.
If I'm lucky enough, right? Yeah. But don't worry, guys, M2 gals, we haven't forgot about you guys. You are still accepted in the BMW community. I see your guys' comments on Ken's video. Oh, we always forget about the G87. Don't worry, you're still there. You're still very relevant, obviously. The cars look very good. So keep doing what you're doing, and we'll keep recording you guys about them. So
other than that, we want to thank you guys for watching this video. If you could do me a solid, hit the thumbs up. It definitely helps the channel grow. And we'll see you guys on the next video. And I'm going to try to film some more videos while we're out here on the West Coast. Stay tuned. We're excited to see you guys September 6th at the Pomona Fairgrounds. And it's going to be epic.